What's up, mountain bikers? Today we're going to be talking about wheels. Wheels, I think, are often overlooked as part of bike setup, but your wheel choice has a lot to do with how your bike rides, how susceptible you are to pinch flats, and how often you're going to be taking trips to the bike shop or the truant stand. I've been testing 3 different options from DT Swiss, Envy, and Zip, all which have completely different approaches to their wheel technology. I'll be going into the advantages and disadvantages of each wheel and telling you guys what I'll be running on this year's race bike. Let's get into it. When I'm looking at wheels, there's 3 main things I'm considering. The first and probably the most important is the ride compliance. How stiff, how flexy they are, and how they play into the overall suspension and chassis of your bike. The second is pinch flats. A couple of these wheels have some technologies that help with pinch flats, and that's something that's really important when going racing. And then the third is durability. Especially as a privateer, I'm looking for a wheel that I am confident will last me the length of the season with the least amount of maintenance possible. So with that in mind, we'll start by looking at the DT Swiss EX511. I do think this is one of the best aluminum wheel options on the market. This was my go-to rim of choice for about 3 seasons running, and I have a ton of confidence in this wheel. It's not too stiff, it's not too compliant, it just feels solid, and the wheels are super predictable, and that's a really good feeling. As far as durability, I never had any catastrophic failures, but just a reality with running an aluminum rim like this is that you are gonna flat spot it. And with my history with this wheel, I just know that I'll probably go through 2 to 3 wheels in a season, and they are gonna take constant upkeep to keep them straight and keep them true.
Even if a flat spot doesn't take the wheel out completely, it can still make seating tires a real hassle, and you have to end up messing with rim tape and getting a set of pliers out to get the flat spot out, and all that just takes a lot of time and a lot of stress. And going into a race, if I have a wheel that has a little flat spot, that's still in the back of my mind. And this year especially, I'm trying to do an extra good job of making sure my equipment's at 100% before I go into the race weekends.
I always thought I was going to be an aluminum wheel guy, but given some other options I've been able to try, the maintenance required on this wheel is what steers me away. There is the argument that you'll flat spot instead of breaking the rim. There's that famous incident with Jack Moore that he bashed his wheel in with a rock to save his race. And that's all good and dandy, but he had to get a new wheel after the race. And for me, that's gonna be a lot harder than someone who's supported by DT Swiss. So if I can find a wheel that'll last me the season without having to do that, that's where I'm gonna go. The other thing that kind of steers me away from running this rim full time is pinch flats. With Maxxis downhill tires, it's not a huge issue, but I have flatted with this rim before, and just because the edge of the rim is fairly sharp. So when it pinches the tire, you just have a greater chance of getting a flat. So for those reasons, I will not be running this rim this season, but it is an awesome option for the right situation. So that brings us to the Zip 3.0 Moto. Zip entered the mountain bike wheel game with some really interesting technology. The whole goal with this wheel was to make it really supple and super compliant, and they did that by going to a single wall construction. And what that allows the wheel to do is essentially pivot on the spoke bed. So when an impact hits the wheel, it pretty much takes it on the shoulder and dissipates a lot of that energy. So that makes this wheel track super well, and it's really noticeable on the trail, especially when ridden back to back against these other wheels. They just track incredibly well and make really rocky, janky sections where your wheels are wanting to deflect everywhere super easy. But what makes them so good in that sort of terrain makes them kind of unpredictable when the speeds pick up and the load going into the bike increases. This wheel's really good at absorbing energy, but when you put more energy into the wheel, it has to come out in some sort of way. And it's mainly a problem with the rear wheel, but what happens is in corners, it feels like the wheel loads up, flexes a bunch, and then shoots you out of the corner. And even in sections where you're just charging hard, hitting rough stuff, the wheels dance around and flexes in ways that makes it kind of unpredictable. The wheel's really durable. I did run it for about a season, and I did break a couple rims, but They were all in the rear, and when they did break, it was in situations where I thought I was going to break a wheel. So maybe not completely the wheel's fault. I do like that it also has a lot of pinch flat protection, the same thing that makes it supple, makes it so it's really hard to get pinch flats. The rim pretty much moves out of the way before it will pinch the tire. Really, I think Zipp did a great job with this technology, but it is really well suited for the front, not so well suited for the rear. And that's why I'm actually going to run this wheel up front. It really helps with the front wheel tracking, deflecting, and it does add a little bit of suppleness to the front end. So all those things make it a really good option for a front wheel, and that's what I'll be running up front this year. So that leaves us with the Envy. This is an M90, which might be a bit of a weird choice for an enduro wheel test, but I wanted to try this wheel out in the M90 because I was looking for the most durable rear wheel on the market. And I think this is it. The failure rates for these in downhill are incredibly low. So this is really overkill for what I'm doing this year in enduro, and I have complete confidence that this wheel will last me the season without any failures and without any maintenance. As long as the wheel doesn't crack, I won't have to true it at all, which is a huge help when it comes to keeping a bike running for a race season. It isn't the most compliant wheel, but that's a trade-off I'm willing to make given how durable it is. And the stiffness might not be the best and really janky stuff, but hitting berms on it is insane. The amount of energy this wheel gives you through turns and compressions is like nothing I've ever felt before. Plus, it has really good pinch flat protection. They have a rim strip, which just makes the edge of the rim super dull, so there's just not a sharp enough edge to pinch the tire.
And whatever interface they worked out between the tire and that rim strip works incredibly well. Corners where the Zipp would flex and burp, the Envy would just hold true and carry speed without losing any air pressure.
Plus, the rim strip makes it so I will never have to deal with rim tape, and tires seat up super easily, and all that just cuts down on time and energy and money I'm having to spend throughout the season. So it's a bit of an unorthodox setup, a Envy downhill wheel in the rear and a Zipp 3.0 Moto up front. But for what I'm doing this year, I think this is the best combo to unlock the most performance out of my bike while keeping maintenance and the risk of failure as low as I can. With running these two wheels, I don't see a need for inserts. With the pinch flat protection these rims have, that's really the only reason I would run inserts. I've never really gotten used to that dampened feel, and there's just not enough benefit for me to add another 150 grams or more per tire. So I'm confident running these wheels without inserts, and that'll be my setup for this year. Let me know what wheels you guys are running. Let me know if I should have tried something else in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.